Hello, I'm Log, and welcome to this first video on the first proper little factory building I made. This factory builds reinforced iron plates, stators and rotors for me, as well as, after a bit of fiddling around later on, smart plating, which is the first project part of the space elevator ship. What's the space elevator? It's this big old thing here. Send equipment up it to unlock new tiers of technology. In my last video we looked at my little base over there. That was my sort of jump starter beginning base. Today I'm going to show you this first base where I tried to build something sensible. There's a lot of iron here and these iron nodes, so I tapped all of that and fed it into some belts. Avoid the locals. Tried a couple of times to make some sort of load balancer here, which I will not go into the details of. It does seem to work. I think after 2 or 3 goes I've fixed it. But the basic idea is that these 3 iron lines come in from that direction and they go into here. They're divided up evenly between some splitters, so that in theory everything would get a third, or if one thing's not demanding anything, like this factory is idle most of the time, as is this one at the moment, they will not demand but the full rate of the 3 combined things can go elsewhere, such as up there and into my big make everything factory, which we'll cover in a later episode. So for now, this is how I made my first neat little reinforced iron plates factory. So I'll have unlocked foundations, I unlocked the basic walls, I worked out the rate at which I'd need to produce materials, and sort of worked backwards from making these things down here. So I start quite often with my output. So here I have an assembler making smart plating, in fact 2 assemblers making smart plating. They feed to this merger, and this goes out through the wall conveyor into a box and stockpiles all this stuff. So for basic things, quite often work out this myself, but there's a brilliant tool online for people who play Satisfactory in the Satisfactory calculator website, satisfactory-calculator.com. They have some great tools on there to help you look at previews of the map if you want that, and to plan out construction ratings. But for basic stuff I can do it manually, and I'll talk you through this process now. So you want to make smart plates. They don't come out very quick, 2 a minute, so I put 2 machines to try and double up the rate. Don't need a lot of them, but it's always better to have more. So for these 2 machines, one machine needs 2 plates and 2 rotors. So to double that I need 4 plates and 4 rotors. So if we work backwards, we can see I have a belt here of plates that snakes off. There's some spare plates go outside to the storage bin I showed you earlier. So this machine can make reinforced iron plates, and at its default clock speed it makes 5 per minute, which is 1 more than we need. Excellent. A little bit of oversupply on the input will guarantee those machines work flat out if they need to, and any extra goes outside to my bins. This is a basic smart conveyor splitter, which means it splits everything evenly 3 ways. So actually, if I've got this connected and that bin is not already full, those will be undersupplied, because it's 5 per minute from here. Divide by 3, which is less than 2 per minute. So your next tool. If you press N when you're in the game, as highlighted by the shortcut here, the search thing, as well as searching for things like smart plating, so that we can look at it and click on it and go into the thing, you can do calculations in here, which is very helpful when you're doing quick little things in here. I can do 5/3 for 5 divided by 3 equals 1.666667, so that is less than 2. It'll be undersupplied, so you can do quick calcs in here. It's very handy, rather than doing the mental mathematics for exact numbers. So, reinforced iron plates. We've got enough as long as that bin's full, and over time I tend to think of that all the bins will be full because you just leave it running. So to make the smart plates, I only need to supply this 1 machine, and this 1 machine needs 30 iron plates per minute and 60 screws per minute. So we can work backwards through that. However, if we check, we know that we also need a bunch of rotors per minute, 4 rotors per minute in fact. Over here, 2 rotors per minute, 2 machines, 4 rotors per minute. So we need to supply this machine as well. And so I need the screws and the iron rods for this machine, as well as the screws for this machine. So it's 60 screws per minute for the reinforced iron plates, and 100 screws per minute for the rotors, which totals up to 160. That's what we want to make. So now we have to go find where I get my screws from. There are some screws coming out of here, and those go up. There are no other screws on this level, so we need to go upstairs. And this is an early factory. So my early factories, we had no conveyor floor holes, so if you want conveyors to go through floors, you need to leave an opening. So you'll see that in my early factories, this is how I've done a lot of things. And I use it a little bit in my later factories too, to have these sort of conveyor shafts where you can put conveyor lifts up and down without having to clip them through things. So from the ground floor, I'm bringing up some screws from the factory down there. I'm making some more screws here, and I'm making 40 screws per minute per machine. Where are my other screw machines? So over here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 machines making screws at 40 per minute. 4 times 40 per minute is 80, 160 per minute, and 160 screws per minute is exactly what we need to supply for both the rotors and the smart plates. So these are enough machines to make screws. What do we need to make screws? Each machine, of which we have 4, we need 10 iron rods. So that means I need 40 iron rods from somewhere. And if we go back here, I've got a machine here making 15 iron rods, and another machine making 15 iron rods, that's 30. So I need 10 more iron rods to be made from somewhere, and I think they are downstairs. Yes, they are. So iron rods, some come from upstairs, and there's some iron rods here, so that's another 10, another 15, so that's now 45 iron rods, which is an oversupply, and I always like to oversupply if I can in these simple ones. Just to check, there's no iron rods going into here, so we've dealt with the screws for this one, we've dealt with the screws for this one, and this needs 20 iron rods. So some of those extra iron rods will go into making the rotors, which probably means I need to double check how many I counted, but I've worked out, so most of the iron rods are coming. All the iron rods are coming. The iron rods. So 10 per screw machine. There are 4 screw machines, that's 40. And then if we go back down here to this machine, sorry for all the jumping around, this needs 20, so that's 60 in total. 60 divided by 15, which is the number of iron rods that these machines can make per minute, is 4, so I need to have 4 of those machines. There's 2 there, there's 1 up here, 1 there. Oh, there's the wrong way. Gone. Maybe I'm undersupplying my iron rods, I've only just found out. Anyway, I make mostly enough iron rods. And then to make iron rods, there's 15 per minute, so say that I've got the 4 machines. That's 4 times 15, which is 60 iron rods per minute. 60 iron ingots per minute for the rods. And then to make the smart plates, I need 30 iron plates. And to make 30 iron plates, I need 30 iron ingots makes 10, and there's another stack upside, so that's 60. So you can see I need quite a lot of iron plates, and that is where I've got this, what I think is quite a nice gentle curve on these, so that my ingots come out of my 3 smelters, each making 30 ingots per minute, to give me a total of 90 ingots per minute coming through here. That's split evenly into these machines. Some of it goes upstairs, some of it comes through, and yeah, that basically means that when all this is powered on and working, it should be enough. Now, I, in this early factory, then put some walls on. I tried to add a door so that I was using a jetpack just now, but early on I don't have any way of flying. you won't have any way of flying, you have to manually place things. And this was my early factory, so I couldn't zoop to make these walls. If I was placing something, I had to place one at a time in this mode. In later versions of the game, you can switch to zoop mode, R to switch to zoop mode. Zoop is this brilliant thing if you're building large stuff because it lets you click once and then you can drag out and place up to 10 of an item. So instead of placing 10 individual foundations and misaligning them, you can do that. Whereas in the oldie days, what I had to do was go, I'd be on the ground, I'd need to go along, I'd need to click, go along, click, go along, click, go along, up, and then you'd inevitably misclick like this. Make sure it lines up to the thing I want it lined up to. Look at the edge, it's a bit twitchy, click, click, click. And you do the exact same thing with walls. In the oldie days it was I want to build a wall 3 high, click 3 times, I want to go across, so I look at the edge and I come along. Very time consuming compared to now where you can just do zoop and you can zoop vertically. 3 walls at once, or you can zoop horizontally, so if I get the right edge lined up, I can just look down there and oop, that's all them done. Next layer, all them done. Way quicker than what you had to do before. But these factories made manually. You see there's texturing on them as well. Nowadays there's a customizer where you can change the skins of materials, but in the older build you had to pick out your build menu. So this is the menu access with Q, in the wall section. You have to scroll through here, find the style of wall you wanted, and make sure you placed it there. There used to be the other looking walls in here usually. So doing cosmetic-y stuff and larger things was a big faff. But just my excuse for why it isn't brilliantly tidy and huge, because it was a bit of a pain. That's it. So now we've got a factory that is going to slowly take in iron ore. It's going to convert it into iron plates and smart plates. And if I come down to this smart plate thing, I can grab some out of this bin. If I take a couple of stacks of smart plates and a stack or 2 of these, I'll just throw that away to get it running. And a couple of stacks of these. You should see that everything will kick into life and start running. This being an early tech factory for me, I did not have power control. I did not actually have these hypertubes, which I'll go over soon. But to begin with, I would have used ladders to get up and down here. This jetpack I'm using right now is a later game thing, which is very helpful when you want to build and glide around, but before you have it, you have to make sure you can walk everywhere, including vertically. So it gets a bit much. And yeah, so this is it active. I don't have any power control in this, so there's no switches, power control switches in here, whereas in my later factories you'll see that I like to separate things off and make it so I can turn on and off production areas, so that if I have a power problem I can turn individual bits of my factory on and off. I have not gone back and added those retrospectively to most things, although I may at some point. That's the basics of this factory. You can see it all running, it's producing things. This is the point of a hypertube, is that you go into it and you swoop up and down. So I've got various hypertubes. It gets a bit loud, but I can get in and out of my hypertube area. The merger's filling the bin back up. It's all running. And there you go. So that's a very small build to get you some smart plating. And as we go on through the later things, we'll go through some more factories. So one of the next things I'll probably deal with is my coal plant. Coal picture on the sign there. So after a while you get not only to automate basic bits and pieces, but rather than using the biofuel generators we talked about in the last one, you can get power automation. And once you've got power automation, you can unlock coal, which means you then need to go wandering around the map and find where there is some nearby coal. And for my start location, which you may not be able to follow very well on the map, I started in this area. Base is down here, and then there's this lake over here where there are several coal nodes, and this is the area where my coal plant is. So in a video very soon, I will show you this coal plant area and describe to you how I set that up and how I build my coal plants usually. So if you'd be interested to see that and work your way through this very basic and rough coal setup that just made it so I could turn stuff back on and I was in a panic, through some of the nicer layouts of things, and I'll say how I deal with fluids usually, and then we can have a quick look at the nicer coal plant I did, where I've actually, you know, put a roof on it, made it neat and tidy, put things indoors, kept the rain out, all this fun stuff. So join me in the next episode for that. Uh-oh. Everyone's a critic. If you've liked this video, if you'd like to see more, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, all that usual stuff. It's an environmentally friendly coal plant, that's why there's trees in here now, I guess. Oh, and creatures. Bye for now.